If you haven't figured out by now, I am an extrovert. Surprise! I like to be outgoing. I like to put myself out there. For me, a relaxing evening is spent with friends out on the town versus at home with a book in the bubble bath. So I enjoy connecting with people. I enjoy putting myself out there. I enjoy hearing thoughts and ideas from thousands or millions of people, depending on the situation. So for me, this kind of content, it's still kind of hard, but it's not as hard as it is for people who are introverted. And I want to talk about that, helping introverts understand why and how they too can create content to be seen and found as executives. My name is Tom, and I'm the founder of Vertical Motion. We help mid-career professionals become executives. If you're interested in learning more, there's a link in the description. You can also check us out on Instagram. Would love it if you would subscribe to this channel, give us a like. It helps with the algorithm, all of that. All that aside, let's talk about if you're an introvert and you know that part of the process of getting to the next level in your career is putting yourself out there, that can seem really overwhelming. So let's talk about what that is, why that is, and some tools and mindset shifts that can help you improve that situation. I'll be candid with you. Even as an extrovert, this is very hard for me to do. I get a lot of anxiety when I think about that I'm creating videos that sometimes millions of people will see. I've had a couple Instagram reels hit like 5 million views. And it's like, that one went viral? That one, really? The one where I'm wearing the shirt with the shirt and it's like, I look awful. The message is great. Like, I've had these viral experiences where I'm out there in front of millions of people who don't know me. And the comments come back mostly positive, sometimes negative. And the comments from the trolls don't bother me so much anymore now that I kind of have a perspective on them. And I'll talk about that as well. But whenever I turn on record on this camera, or I go off and do a shoot to shoot some reels somewhere, I get anxious. I get nervous. I get uncomfortable. And for introverts, that is a experience 10x worse than what I have. And so I'm aware of that and I'm understanding of that. I'm empathetic to that. And I want to try to help some of you that are on the introverted side kind of get past some of those feelings when it comes to putting yourself out there. First of all, I would recommend you put yourself out there in text format first before you start doing video or podcasts. It is hard, very, very hard to stare at a camera lens and think about the fact that there are potentially thousands or millions of people who are going to watch this. And now in your mind, you're thinking, oh my God, I have to talk to this crazy audience. And then what happens, for me anyway, is I get some of the voices from people in my past in my head. People that would say stuff like, who are you to teach this? Or, you're not really worthy. Like, nobody's going to listen to you. Stop even pretending to do this stuff. All of that stuff shows up in my head, and it shows up in the minds of introverts as well, which tend to kind of pull them back. Instead of focusing on working with the camera up front, I would suggest that you work with text first. And this is doubly important because, quite honestly, if you're in the market to build your executive career, LinkedIn is the platform to do that. Like it or not, hate it or not, it doesn't matter. LinkedIn is where the majority of executive recruiters, hiring managers, and board members go to look for talent to add to their organizations. So if you're just posting content on LinkedIn, simple stuff, right? Like just a post a week, I have some thoughts about this and I'd like to share them. Just doing that is actually so much more helpful than doing nothing, right? So just starting with text at first can be real simple. You can choose to do short form or you can do long form. We have clients who write 17-page articles that are like Atlantic-worthy articles about their industries and their thoughts. We have people who write just a couple quick posts. One of our clients, his name's Andrew Bright. He has a really cute little thing that he does twice a week called Bright to the Point. And then he talks about it in 3 paragraphs and he's done. And he hits those out twice a week and he gets thousands of people following him and engaging with that. And that's led to a lot of interest in new roles for Andrew. So like you can see how just real simple things, like just kind of putting out a few things here and there can lead to some positive results. So don't feel like you have to start out by nailing a YouTube channel and getting every video perfect. And don't feel like you have to do Instagram and TikTok and all of these video formats. You can start with text first if that's comfortable for you. If and when you do move to doing video, there's a lot of ideas that I can share with you on how to make that easier. There's a lot of anxiety that comes with working with a camera, especially when you're kind of just talking to the camera and there's no one else around, just you and the camera. It's really you and thousands of people, you and millions of people. And that's a little daunting. One of the things that I like to do is right behind this camera, I have a picture of people from my community. So it's a screen capture from one of the Zoom calls that we have. We have Zoom calls every Tuesday night. We have what's called the main event, and there's about 50 people who join those calls. And so I have a screen capture of 50 faces that all represent something to me. Each of them are on their individual journeys, and I can see their faces, and I'll usually pick one of them to talk to. When you talk to an individual, a specific person, it can be an avatar that you make up, or it can be a real person that you know. When you talk to that person, it makes things so much easier. So instead of me talking to YouTube right now, I can talk to Ash, I can talk to Carrie, I can talk to Nadina, I can talk to Brian or Ryan or Bill or Kelly. I can talk to all of these people that I know, and I know that they need to hear what I have to say. And that makes it easier for me to say it, because now my audience does not include people who don't care about my content, or doesn't include people who might not like my content, or people who just don't like me, right? Because we all have haters. I don't know why, but we do. So anyway, like, we have this ability to kind of lock in on an avatar. And when you talk to a person, when you picture a person on the other side of the lens, it's so much easier to just say to her, hey, Jenny, let me tell you about this concept. I know you're kind of introverted. Let me help you through the process of getting used to putting content out there. Let me help you get comfortable with your own voice and finding your way. The other thing that really helps with content, especially video content, is just reps. You are going to be bad at video content before you are good at video content. That is just the name of the game. And really all content, even written content, the first things you write might not feel comfortable. They might feel a little awkward, and you might be afraid to put that first thing out there thinking it's got to be perfect. Listen, the most important thing that you can learn in self-development, whatever it is, whether it's becoming an executive, losing weight, or anything that you do in life that you want to become better at, just start. It doesn't matter how bad you are. If you start right now, start today, as opposed to, well, I'll start on September 15th. That's my start date, right? I'll start then. If you start now, you'll be so much better when you start on September 15th to do it for real. So that next 2 months of time that you spend, you're basically learning, and you're kind of, practicing live without a net. That actually gives you so much more feedback and experience. And quite honestly, nobody's going to remember what you wrote early on. They're going to enjoy and engage in what you write later. So like when I started a YouTube channel, I had 0 followers, and eventually I got 1 follower. And I think that was my wife. Like, I didn't have any followers. I just started talking to YouTube, and it was kind of helpful because it meant that nobody's going to see how bad this video really is. And candidly, my very first video is still on this channel, and I intend to leave it there forever because, quite honestly, I want people to see how bad I was whenever they feel bad about their content. It is a 22-minute rambling video about executive presence, and I'm not quite sure I have actually sat through the entire video myself. If you can, God bless you. But quite honestly, it was so bad. There were so many mistakes and gaffes and things that I wouldn't do now, and things that I've learned over the course of, a year and a half doing this now. And it just takes time. It just takes time and practice and reps to get better at something. You're not going to go out there and become a Major League Baseball player without having swung a bat at least 10,000 times in your life. You have to practice to become good at something. And the only way to get good at something is to practice doing it. You can't okay, well, I'm going to learn everything I need to know. Now I know everything, and now I'm going to start at a very high level. It doesn't work that way. I wish it did. Quite honestly, I have tried to do that in my past, and it just doesn't work that way. What works is just being a crash test dummy, putting yourself out there. By the way, you can delete early content later. Once you get good and you're like, oh God, that old stuff is bad, you can delete that. You can curate your content so that people only see the good stuff. That's fine. I just find it to be more authentic by putting yourself out there and leaving yourself out there so people can see your journey, the progression that you've made in your skills. And that's why my channel is always going to have those early awful videos on them. So I think that if you let go of trying to be perfect and instead just try to start, that's going to help you tremendously. The third thing that I want to talk about is a little bit different. It's not about, tips and tricks for content. It's mindset. A lot of people people that are attracted to my message. It's kind of like this idea of an authentic, empathetic leader who's audacious enough to build something great, right? That messaging resonates with people who don't like to trumpet their own horn. They don't like to put themselves out there in front of everyone else. They prefer to kind of sit back and let, the people who need the credit to get the credit. And that typically leads to people being afraid to put themselves out there, not willing to be loud. And, this person, this creature, this being that people see, it's just not comfortable. I had one client, Austin. I love Austin. His energy is amazing. He's one of my favorite people in the world. He grew up with Buddhist parents, and his whole philosophy was he doesn't need much in life to be happy, but he wants to become a leader. He wants to move higher in his career, not for himself, but to serve others in higher and better capacities. And he said he had this trouble dealing with, well, I don't deserve the pay that comes with being an executive. I don't necessarily want that money. So my question to him was, okay, think about this situation. There's a company who needs an executive just like you. You're the perfect fit for this role. There are 10 employees who work for that executive or for that position. And those 10 people would report to you, but you don't put yourself out there, and therefore they never find you, even though you are the perfect person for that role. Instead, they hire someone who is loudmouth, gregarious, out there, outlandish, and just interviews really well, and then shows up and has no substance to their actual executive skill. And they're all about themselves, and they're anxious because they don't know how to do the job. And so they blame their assistants, or they take credit for the people who work for them. And now the 10 people who work for that person, their lives suck because you didn't put yourself out there. So it's not always about you. Like, that's one of the things about leadership, is that being a leader has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with the people that you serve. If you want to serve and support the teams, larger and larger teams, that's the kind of leadership that companies need. They need people like you. And so when you don't put yourself out there, when you don't share yourself, you don't share your story, well, nobody will. And nobody will know about you. And then all those opportunities where you could be making a whole lot more money, but also having way more impact on more people, customers, vendors, everything. Not putting yourself out there hurts them as much, if not more, than it hurts you. Because, if you're not someone who cares to have a lot, you don't need a lot, but you have the ability to do so much more than you realize. And when you do actually put yourself out there and people find you and put you in those roles, great things happen, not just for you, but for the whole organization. I remember talking with Austin, and he was saying that he just didn't feel like he deserved the salary. He didn't feel like it was appropriate for him to have so much. And, with that, my question to him was, if that money goes to a narcissist, they're going to spend that extra $200,000 a year that they make on an in-ground pool and a boat and a vacation and champagne. You could take that same money and create a scholarship, or, donate that to causes that matter to you, or help someone in need, or build a rainy day fund or a college fund for your children, right? Like, you don't have to be materialistic to take really good value and do great things with it. And that's something that, like, a lot of executives in this world are there because of greed. A lot of other executives are there because of this sense of service to others. Those are the leaders that I work with. I don't work with the greedy ones. I work with the people who want to accomplish something great and build great culture and build lasting, sustainable organizations that can stand the test of generations. And when you lead that way, gosh, the company is so much better off to have someone like you in their leadership ranks than a narcissist who's there for the greed, who's there for the money, who's there for the scoreboard, right? Two different mindsets. And if you are of the mindset that, like, you're not wanting to put yourself out there, you're missing out on opportunities, and you're taking away great leadership from organizations who need that from you. So TLDR, have confidence in yourself, believe in yourself, and know that what you do is important. And quite honestly, in the corporate world, leaders like you are rare. So when I find leaders like you, people who want to lead for the right reasons. Those are the people I want to work with. Those are the people I want to help no matter what. And I think those people are going to help make the world better. So if you are on the introverted side, if you don't feel comfortable putting yourself out there, remember that it's not about you. It's not about you. It's about the people that you can help. It's about the industry understanding what you have to offer and finding places for you in it instead of you having to hunt and peck and look for opportunities. Again, many executive roles don't even materialize until the executive is found by a hiring manager who's like, holy cow, I need her on my team. Let me create a position for her and reach out to her. That's more common than you realize. And the only way you're going to be found for opportunities like that is putting yourself out there. You found me. You're on this channel. You're watching this video right now. It is because I put myself out there. I push past the anxiety. I push past the doubt. I push past the troll comments, and I put myself out there because I have found so far to date 100 amazing, authentic, empathetic, audacious leaders who are becoming or have become executives because of the work that we do. That's my mission. What's yours? And how can you be found by people who need what you offer with that skill set? That's what I have for you today. I hope this was useful to you. If you are on the introverted side, my homework for you is to write one post on LinkedIn about anything at all, right? Try to keep it, like it's hyper political these days. Maybe keep that off the radar, but focus on your industry, something that's important to you. Like you can create just one simple thing and put that out there, and it will be hard. But then once you've got it done, the next one is 50% easier, and so on and so on. Hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.